And let's put some sanity around this. As Councillor Thompson said, this has gone around a number of times and we're not getting any further. So I don't know, Mr. Chair, I don't have a suggestion to make, quite frankly, but I think that we need to let staff come back to us with maybe a different way of looking at it, maybe a different way to explain how they can do it. Keep it simple, keep it fair, and let's see if we can't put this to rest.
Thank you, Mayor Daw. Mr. Clerk, that's obviously not going to be achieved with what's on the screen. Is that something that has to happen under new business, or can it be achieved in this moment in time?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. An amendment would be in order because it relates to the matter that's in there. So,
Mayor Daw, would you like to make an amendment?
I will ask Council to consider referring this back to staff or to come back to us to see if there's a different way that we can approach this.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Maracus? Do you have anything to say further? Any other comments on the, yes, Councillor Maracus?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to ask the Mayor if he'd be willing to maybe reword it a little bit slightly, maybe say that staff take the considerations put forward by the committee.
Sure, absolutely.
And take those into consideration when bringing back anything for us. If you're okay with that, then I'm okay with seconding that too.
Do you have that, Mr. Clerk? Is that it, Councillor Maracus?
That's all I need to say.
Councillor Gardner, you had your hand up.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Clerk, we have a past council motion that says the back door of the leisure complex should be open to people with disability and mobility issues. So I think we have to follow through on that.
It is.
We have to follow through on that, and then we can make amendments. But I do think we have a council motion that's what's on the table here is resulting from a council motion that was passed and I think needs to be followed before we make any amendments.
Mr. Clerk, do you have a comment on that?
thank you, through Mr. Chair. If I'm understanding the councillor correctly, yes, there was and please correct me if I'm not there. Yes, there was a council direction that was given on this matter. It was November 25th. I have the paper here. This particular amendment does not in any way usurp, I would suggest, that motion. This is merely requesting staff to look at the comments and report back on that, which doesn't stop the other process. It's just providing some clarity.
Thank you.
Councillor Gardner, is that it?
That's it.
Thank you very much. I'll move to Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not to add much, I appreciate the motion and to ask staff to, while they're doing that, take a look at the full program in terms of issuing all these plastic things and really seeing if there's a way they can utilize the fob system that we have in place. There's a way we can get stats from that. There's a way we can see what's happening. I just feel that there's a better way. And if they take a good look at that, and there's another way that we can do that, and restrict backdoor north access if they want to, whoever. I just think there's got to be a better way.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Abel.
We did have an amendment to allow access to all members, and that was defeated. So I don't know if that's contrary or requires a waiver of procedure, but maybe the way it's going to be crafted is that those members that request access through the back door only have to come and request it, and therefore we'll know who and how many we are giving out for back door. Because I agree, there's just a few people that will take it, and I know them by names now, but there really isn't a lot of apart from the few people that go into the pool that obviously need it, and then those that want to use the pool change rooms to go to the fitness class, and there are only a couple, so I mean it's not a big deal for them. I think almost everyone else will just follow along and go through the front doors. So there's and I think we're all in agreement, there's probably very few people that will do it. I know I'm setting myself up for, and I've seen what goes on, but most people are very pleased just coming in the front door and using our facilities. So if you want to craft it in such a way that it's not just an automatic, that those that request it, it might be a different way of wording it. Although I'm not in favor, I just don't understand. I think the mayor said it once, is you're coming to a fitness class and you want to save yourself 25 steps. All right.
Thank you, Councillor. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Abel. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Speaking through the referral, through you to Mr. Downey. Mr. Downey, if this matter gets referred back to you, will that back door be open next week?
Mr. Downey.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I appreciate that opportunity. I was going to raise my hand because I am a little concerned. We commence our AquaFit program or relocate the AquaFit program from the SARC back to the leisure complex effective March 21st. So we wanted to get a communication out to our AquaFit members as to the new process, and that if they wanted to then apply for a fob, that they had that opportunity to do that and give them some notice. So we were going to proceed with the procedures that we had presented to Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, so that we could at least make sure that members who wish to obtain a fob knew what the requirements were, knew what the procedures were, and they could then make sure that they had the appropriate documents available so that they could access a fob. There are also some restrictions with regards to the access that we were not able to overcome prior to the March 21st date, and that is that we were not able to permit members to obtain fobs, but only pay-as-you-go clients. The reason for that is the process that we go through right now is if you come into the leisure complex and you come to the control desk as a member, you give your membership card and it identifies you, and you are then given the wristband or the appropriate wristbands for the activities you wish to take place at the leisure complex. If you were going to an AquaFit class and you wanted to enter the back door, you were not able to retrieve a wristband as a member, so that you would have to give up your membership and go as a pay-as-you-go. And instead of purchasing tickets for an AquaFit class, you would be purchasing wristbands for an AquaFit class. And so that you would then come, fob through the back door, go into the change room, put your wristband on, and participate in the class. No need to come anywhere near the control desk. That was the best way we could accommodate those people. And we don't know how many people we don't know how many members we're talking about here. We don't know whether we're talking about 5 members or 5 people or 50 people. At this point, we haven't got a metrics on that. So at the Parks and Recreation Committee, we were asked, well, what modifications can we make? I said, I don't know yet, because I don't know what my challenges are. I don't know how many of those people we need to be able to accommodate, and whether or not that's a cost-effective method of dealing with that. And if it is, then we'll bring forward some modifications to our process in order to deal with that particular issue. But we were anxious to get some procedure in place to at least commence the intent of council, which was to ensure that that back door was accessible primarily for our AquaFit members who had disabilities or physical mobility issues.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. And that's, that was brought up at the Parks and Rec. There was great concern that this and any referrals or future alterations would delay the opening of the back door, which is, complicating the issue. But also there was grave concern, there was a lot of concern around the fact that members couldn't. So, we're trying to build, some success. We're trying to build memberships, continuity, usage, and yet now we're putting a barrier to being members, and you got to be pay as you go. So those were all the issues around the challenges. I don't think anybody at the committee had the solution, so that's why the comments were forwarded. But I have trouble supporting the referral, knowing that the door is going to stay closed, and we're still going to be struggling with this, a month, 2 months, whatever from now.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. This is to the referral, Councillor Marakis and Councillor Gardner. Councillor Abel for the second time, but we'll move to Councillor Marakis and Councillor Gardner first. Councillor Marakis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the referral,
Oh, sorry. Do you mind if I go to Councillor Gardner first? You've spoken already on this?
Sure, yeah, no.
Okay, Councillor Marakis, go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My understanding is the amendment that we've put forward for the referral is to take into consideration the comments of the committee, and the last comment from the committee was the suggestion to implement an interim solution to avoid any further delays. So my understanding is that we would go forward as is, open up that back door with the procedures that have been put in front of us while we continue to look at how we can improve it. And that's my understanding from taking those comments into consideration. I might be wrong, maybe through you to the clerk or to Mr. Downey, whoever could answer that. That's the way I'm interpreting the amendment and the referral.
Mr. Clerk, do you have a clarification on that, what Councillor Marakis just brought up?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, without any specific direction, staff are kind of bound to follow council's direction. I'm not sure, without knowing, I'll be honest, without knowing the scenario, I'm not sure if this prevents the director from taking action or not, because I haven't seen the full decision. So I'd ask the director to speak.
Okay. Mr. Downey, do you have any comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I've directed staff to implement this procedure. So unless I'm told otherwise, we're moving forward with this procedure. That was my understanding coming out of the Parks and Recreation Committee, that we were going to begin with this procedure and deal with the issues that were related to this procedure, but at least move forward with this procedure until we had something better.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Councillor Marakis?
Thank you. So then I mean, I guess we don't need to separate it then or do anything. The door will be opened with the current procedures that have been put in front of us, and we will be working towards coming up with a better solution in the future.
That sounds like what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marakis. I have Councillor Gardner, then Councillor Abel for the second time to the referral.
I'm really very confused because I thought that this was tended to come. I thought this was to come to this general committee meeting before Mr. Downey gave any directions to staff so that this council could decide whether we wanted people to get notes from their doctors. So if I'm understanding you correctly through Mr. Chair to Mr. Downey, from what you're saying, you've directed staff to only give fobs to people who bring in doctor's notes?
Mr. Downey? I think you answered that already, but...
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Councillor Gardner.
Excuse me.
Guys.
I'm just obviously speechless. This came to council, these minutes came to council, so council could decide whether this is the appropriate procedure to ask people to get doctor's notes. I think council needs to decide tonight, going forward to council, whether we are going to ask people to get doctor's notes or we are just going to trust them when they come to the reception area and say they have trouble walking and they would like to have a fob. I thought it was pretty clear from the meeting that that's what was supposed to be happening tonight.
Councillor Gardner, what's on the floor now is a referral. Do you have anything to say about that? It's an amendment to the main motion.
I really am just completely gobsmacked. I have nothing to say.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Abel for the second time.
For the second time, Mr. Chair, just to be clear, and I think Councillor Marakis summed it up, we're going to go ahead with what's before us so he can go forward and announce to the Aquafit that the fob access will be available. Those that are requesting it have time to go to make that request. So starting when we relocate, they'll have had that opportunity. And then we will refer how to accommodate those people that want to come through the back door, that don't have mobility issues, but want to be able to use that back door. So I'm in favor of doing that, because maybe, do they need a doctor's note? We'll get that back after, so I'm in favor of that.
Thank
As
you.
long, I just want to be clear though, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Abel. I appreciate the comments. That voting then, if there's no further comments on the amendment that was moved and seconded, all those in favor? Mr. Clerk, do you want to comment?
Thank you, through Mr. Chair, and there has been some, it's been called a motion to refer or a couple times. It's really actually just a direction to staff, if I might suggest, because you're just receiving the minutes anyways. It's a direction to staff.
Is that clear with everyone? Voting on that, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. And back to the main motion as amended. If there's no further comments, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. That's the final item for discussion. We'll move to new business. I'll start with Councillor Kim. Councillor Kim, do you have any new business? Do you need a motion to extend?
Yes, we do.
Motion to extend. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Marakis. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. New business, Mr. Mayor? Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We received a note on the concerns for the way we're treating our emerald ash borer trees and the type of application we're utilizing. Just wondering if we have any updates from our perspective on how we feel about that. Is it going well? Have we even started it? Is it something that we still feel is safe? Just want to comment.
Mr. Downey, do you have any comment on that?
Through Mr. Chair, as you know, we have provided a report to council. I can give you some anecdotal information with regards to the success. We feel that it has been extremely successful compared to our neighboring municipalities. We are happy to provide some additional information to council with regards to the chemical we're using. However, there have been some concerns raised. Recently, council has been made aware of some concerns from a resident. The issue that we're having is we're not in disagreement that it has an impact on honeybees, but it doesn't have an impact on honeybees the way we're applying it. So that's the main difference, is that it's inside the tree, and it is not accessible to the honeybees. It is not being sprayed on the ground or sprayed on the exterior of the tree. There is no way of it being ingested by honeybees.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's great. Thank you so much. And perhaps we can get a little bit of a memo on that so we can respond and move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Abel.
Yes, would like to get an update on the sign dedicated for Judy Sharon that we did in October of 2014.
Very good question. Mr. Downey or Mr. Simonoskis?
Sorry, just to repeat the question with regards to the 2014 work plan?
Dedication to Judy Sharon for the AFLC sign.
Yeah. I'll have to check with staff. I know we had the temporary signage, which was up for a while, and so what I'll have to do is follow up with staff and I'll provide a memo to council. I don't believe there's been funding set aside for that, but I'll check with staff to see if they've made an order on that specifically.
I'd appreciate an update by council if I could. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Abel. Councillor Thompson.
I'm trying to think of a bylaw question, just so we... But nothing's coming to mind at the moment, you know? It's always nice when somebody's new at the table to engage them in the conversation.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Marakis.
Nothing for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have nothing either. So we'll move then to a motion to adjourn. Councillor Marakis, Councillor Thompson, all those in favor? All those in favor? Opposed? That carries.